9:33 on North Dakota today on the joys of live television.
Yes.
Here's what's happening, folks. On the Fargo side, they're following up on a live press conference that's going on. There's something going on in Fargo right now involving the police department there. So they're covering that. What we're going to do here is continue on with our discussion here about lifelong learning. So that's what's happening this morning on the show.
Alrighty, so let's get right into it. Robert E. Lee once said, "The education of a person is never completed until they die, and you never stop learning in life."
That's right, but how do you keep learning? Well, it can be as simple as just cracking open a book, or as our next guest will tell us right now, being open to new ideas and new ways of looking at the world. A very familiar face here, Marcy Narum. Welcome to the show.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Now, obviously, Marcy, we've seen as a TV anchor, but now you've kind of changed hats a little bit. So tell us a little bit what you're doing now.
Well, I have a business doing some consulting, speaking, and coaching, and I'm a member of the John Maxwell team. There are thousands, literally about 4,000 or so certified members of the John Maxwell team around the world.
Now, what is that all about? What is John Maxwell?
John Maxwell, for those who aren't familiar with him, he is an author. He is world-renowned as an expert in leadership development, and he's written over 70 books on leadership and personal development. And as a certified member of his team, I can do training and seminars and speaking on about 10 of his books. I like to focus on 4 of them, but just to kind of ease into the water a little bit to help people. But
you don't want to do all 10 at once, huh?
No, just it's good to take small bites, I think.
and that's kind of what brings us to adult learning.
Right, and John Maxwell he's to be admired because he's got a lot of experience. He started out as a pastor and decided that everything he's learned he can take out into the world beyond the church. And so he's offering this simulcast. And we'll talk about that, I guess, in a little bit. But the learning that we do as adults really is we need to be intentional, and we need to choose.
So it's
and
not
apply
enough to
ourselves.
just think, well, life is experience is teaching me. It's not enough to do that.
Right. We have to apply ourselves and be intentional, and really think about even the environment that we're in. Are we growing?
Well, I think you hit on a good point there. I don't think of this as intentional. We don't intentionally turn to our friends or our spouses and say, I'm done, I've learned all I need to know. And I think it's just a way we approach life. We just kind of close off. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. Awareness is key. You know, what am I thinking? What are the choices that I'm making? What is my attitude about myself, about others, about my work?
Sure.
You know, kind of fits in with the conflict resolution discussion of earlier, but just being aware simply to say, do I need to make a change in something, and how do I go about doing it?
Well, not many of us would admit to having a closed mind. That's, we always hear that's not a good thing. We would agree with that, right? We don't want to have a closed mind, but if you do have that and you acknowledge it, how do you change that?
How do you change it?
How do you open your mind?
I think you have to be willing. You have to be willing to say, what am I doing that maybe has me stuck? Examine the relationships that aren't working, and examine the relationships that are working. Pay attention to how you're feeling. What are you thinking?
And I think if you have a partner that is well aware of it too, that may be a little bit better motivation as well.
Right. If you're not willing to change, then whatever is bothering you is going to keep happening.
Exactly.
All right.
You kind of get into a rut or a cycle.
Yeah, but what I want to know is among adults, why is it important to keep learning? I mean, I know there are some medical reasons, like for instance to ward off dementia, that sort of thing, but why is it important for us?
I think it's important because we all, I think, have a higher purpose. That I believe that we are here for a reason, and if we discover what it is that we are here to do and to continue seeking that, it requires learning. Even if you know what it is that you're doing, that you're meant to do, there is learning that is required, to continue to grow. I love the quote that you had at the beginning, and a tree never stops growing until the day it dies.
Sure.
And so apply that to the rest of us too. Just keep growing in order to be able to give to others.
Sure. So some specific advice on how to do that when we come back. So don't go away.